Dream of the Red Chamber, Chapter 58.
You know, there's this phrase you hear all the time in, like, corporate management books, single point of failure.
Oh yeah, the classic nightmare scenario.
Exactly. It's that terrifying moment when the one person who knows the server password or the one manager who can sign the payroll just isn't there, and the whole machine just grinds to a halt.
And total panic ensues.
Right. So I want you to take that exact idea, but apply it to a massive, sprawling feudal estate in imperial China. And, instead of a server password, it's the grandmother who holds the entire social fabric together.
That is the perfect setup for what we're digging into today. We're looking at a really pivotal and I think often overlooked sequence in the Jia household saga.
It's a total when the cat's away, the mice will play situation.
It is, but set against this backdrop of incredibly strict and codified feudal rituals.
Right, because normally this household runs like a Swiss watch, or maybe a very dramatic Swiss watch. But today we're talking about a total logistical nightmare, a huge power vacuum at the top, and this is my absolute favorite part. A sudden, chaotic influx of unemployed actors into the house.
Unemployed actors is a very polite way of putting it.
I try to be diplomatic. 3 layers of consequences that all come from one single event.
Okay.
We've got the crushing weight of these imperial mourning protocols, then the scramble to find new management, and finally, the fascinating fate of the household's private theater troupe.
And that's where the real drama is, but we have to start with the catalyst.
The catalyst. It's a death in the palace, specifically the old princess, the Lao Taifei. Now, to a casual reader, this might just sound like background noise, a plot device to shuffle some characters around.
It really feels that way at first. But if you look closer at the sources, this one death is an earthquake. It triggers this cascade of events that just fundamentally breaks the order of the Grandview Garden.
Let's talk about the reaction. I mean, I know the Jia family is noble, they have ties to the court, but the reaction described seems, well, extreme. It's not just sending some flowers and wearing black for a week.
Oh, not even close.
Yeah.
This is basically a state-mandated shutdown of joy. The emperor issues a decree because of the old princess's high status. And for any family with a noble title, which of course includes the Jias, that means no banquets and absolute no music for a full year.
A full year? That's a lifetime in a household like that. So we're talking no birthday parties, no opera, no background music, nothing.
Total silence. And it's not just for the elites. The decree actually trickles all the way down. The source material notes that commoners are forbidden from marrying for 3 months.
Wow. Can you just...
It's a massive pause button on society. But for the Jia family, that no music rule is really just the tip of the iceberg. The physical demands on the matriarchs they're just grueling.
Okay, right. Let's get into the schedule. Because they're not just sitting at home being sad.
No. The text describes a relentless marathon.
Yeah.
You have Jia Mother, who we have to remember is elderly,
right,
along with Lady Wang, Madame Xing, even the younger generation like Yuxi. They are all required to attend court every single day for sacrifices.
And this isn't like a pop in for lunch kind of thing.
No, it's a leave at the crack of dawn and stay until late afternoon situation. Every single day. They're exhausted. But then the logistics get even more intense.
How so?
So after 21 days of rituals in the side palace, the coffin has to be moved to the mausoleum in Jiaoqi County.
And I'm guessing that's not a day trip.
Not even close. The journey alone takes over 10 days.
Yeah.
So you add it all up, between the palace rituals and the travel, the senior leadership of the entire household is effectively gone for a month. That's
it. That's the single point of failure we talked about. You've just removed the CEO, the COO, and the entire board of directors for 30 days. But logistically, where do they even sleep? They can't be commuting for 10 days?
No, they basically move into a dorm for the super rich. They rent the east courtyard of a high official's family temple. It's a nunnery, essentially.
A nunnery. That feels like a big shift from the mansions.
Well, it's described as very clean, lots of rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And here's an interesting detail from the sources. The North Beijing king's family rents the west courtyard, right next door.
So you have these high-powered, noble families all living in close quarters, kind of overlapping in these rented spaces.
Exactly. And the text mentions a real sense of camaraderie. They're eating together, traveling together, probably complaining about the schedule together.
Mm-hmm.
It actually solidifies their alliances. It's like a bonding retreat, just under very grim circumstances.
So while the adults are off at their morning retreat bonding with other royals, the home front is just wide open.
Wide open and totally vulnerable.
Okay, let's look at that home front. The power vacuum is real. Gee, mother, gone. Lady Wang, gone. Even Jia Zhen and his wife are supposed to go. That leaves. Who is actually steering the ship?
This is where they have to make some really strategic, really quick decisions. They can't just leave the mansions empty. So a plan is made for Yushi, the wife of Jia Zhen from the Ning mansion.
Now, Yushi is usually pretty low profile, isn't she? She's not a powerhouse like Phoenix Wang's Feng, who normally runs the show.
Very understated. But she has the perfect excuse to stay behind. It's reported that she's pregnant.
A convenient pregnancy.
Well, convenient or not, in this society, producing an heir is everything. So because of her condition, she gets excused from the difficult funeral procession. She stays behind to manage both the Ning and the Rong mansions.
That's a massive job for one person. You're managing hundreds of servants, supply lines, security. How does she even handle it?
Surprisingly well. But her style is completely different from Phoenix. Phoenix governs with fear and, intense micromanagement. She is more of a quiet administrator. She handles the daily roll call to keep people accountable, but she's not a tyrant.
She's not trying to make enemies.
Not at all. She doesn't abuse her power. Her main focus is just logistics, supply chain management, really. Making sure the seniors at the temple have their food, their specific items, their comforts. She keeps that lifeline open.
So Yushi is the interim CEO, just keeping the lights on. But she can't be everywhere. And you still got a garden full of teenagers, Baiyu, Dayu, all the cousins who need supervision. You can't just leave them alone for a month.
Oh, that would be a complete recipe for disaster. So the family brings in a ringer, and Sue.
Bao Chai's mother.
Yep. She's brought into the garden specifically to supervise the younger generation. But this move actually sparks this surprisingly complex debate about, of all things, real estate. Where is she going to sleep?
I love this part of the source because it really does feel like a logic puzzle. Liu Ran is busy, Tantun is dealing with her biological mother, Zhao, and her brother, which is a whole other headache.
And the other places are just too small. So the decision is made, and this is so crucial for the character dynamics, for Aunt Shu to move into the Bamboo Lodge.
The Shak Xiangguan, that's Lin Daiyu's place.
It's a fascinating pairing, isn't it? You have Aunt Shu, this maternal, steady, sort of worldly figure, moving in with Daiyu, the hypersensitive, often isolated, emotionally fragile poet.
And Daiyu is usually so prickly. How does she handle having a roommate?
It ends up being one of the most heartwarming parts of this whole section. You have to remember, Jia Mother specifically entrusted Daiyu to Aunt Shu's care before she left. And Aunt Shu takes that very seriously.
She doesn't just supervise them.
No, she nurtures. She manages Daiyu's food, her medicine, her daily schedule.
It sounds like the kind of mother figure Daiyu has been missing since she first came to the house.
Precisely. And Daiyu, who is usually so guarded, she just completely melts. The text says she's deeply moved. She starts treating Aunt Sue like a real mother and looking at Bao Chai and Bao Qin not as rivals, but as actual sisters.
It's a rare moment of, I guess, emotional stability for her.
It is. And it brings Jia Mother great relief when she hears about it. It's sort of the calm before the storm. Because while these emotional bonds are tightening in the Bamboo Lodge, the entertainment department is being completely dismantled.
Okay, let's get to that third layer, the theater troupe. This is where things get really interesting sociologically.
And it all comes back to that initial decree. No music. If you can't have music, you don't need musicians. And if you can't have entertainment, well, you don't need a private theater troupe. The emperor decrees that all noble families must disband their private troupes.
That puts the Jia family in a real bind. I mean, they own these 12 young actresses, the 12 actresses of Père Frigran's court. They're assets, technically, so what do they do with them?
And there's a genuine moral dilemma here. You should. Looking at it through her pragmatic logistical lens, she suggests the efficient choice. Sell them, or just send them away. Clear the payroll.
Cold, but, from a business standpoint, I get it. They're expensive to feed and house if they're not performing.
True, but Lady Wang steps in. And this is a really great character moment for her. She's often seen as strict, maybe a bit harsh. But here, she argues for compassion. She points out that these girls are children from good families who are only sold because of poverty.
Right.
And she argues that reselling them would be damaging to virtue.
Yeah.
It's immoral and, frankly, stingy.
So she's protecting them from being treated like property. What's the counteroffer?
They give the girls agency, which is incredibly rare. They give them a choice. Option A, if you want to leave, your parents can come get you, and the family will even give you travel money, 8 taels of silver. It's a decent severance package.
Option B.
Option B, if you want to stay, you'll be kept on as a maid in the garden.
So freedom with cash or a guaranteed job for life. But didn't Lady Wang have a specific condition about the parents?
Yes, and it just shows her foresight. She insists the parents have to claim the girls personally. She is terrified that scoundrels, maybe distant relatives or even traffickers, would falsely claim the girls just to resell them into worse situations.
Wow, that is remarkably thoughtful. So the doors are open. How many of them actually pack their bags?
Almost none. It's surprising. Only 4 or 5 of them wish to leave. The vast majority choose to stay in the garden.
That seems counterintuitive. Why would you stay as a servant if you can go home to your family?
Well, the reasons are just heartbreakingly pragmatic. Some have cruel parents who they know would just sell them again. Some are orphans and have literally nowhere to go. And others are just grateful to the Gia family. The text says they're reluctant to part with the grace they've been shown.
So the outside world is scary and uncertain. The garden, for all its flaws, is safe.
Exactly. It might be a gilded cage, but it's a lot better than the wilderness.
Okay, so they stay. But now you have a new problem. You can't have 12 trained actresses just hanging around, can you? They need to be integrated into the workforce.
And this is what I call the distribution of talent. And for you listening, you really need to pay attention to these pairings because they are not random at all. They drive almost all the conflict for the next few chapters. It's like a sports draft. But all the players are drama queens.
All right, let's run through the roster. Who gets drafted where?
Okay, let's hit the main ones. Wen Guan stays with the central estate to serve Gia Mother later on. But the most explosive pairing is Fang Guan. She's the main Dan, the heroine role, the star of the show. She gets assigned to Bayou.
Of course she does. Bayou loves the theatrical types, and he is not exactly a strict boss.
It is the worst possible combination for household order. He's going to spoil her rotten, and she's going to take full advantage of it. Then you have Rui Guan, the little Dan, who goes to Bao Chai.
Bao Chai is steady. She can probably handle that.
Probably. Then U Guan, who played the male lead, or Sheng roles, is assigned to Dai Yu.
That's kind of poetic. The girl who plays the hero goes to the sensitive, tragic heroine.
It fits perfectly. Then, just for the record, Kui Guan, the painted face role, goes to Shang Yun, Du Guan to Bao Ken, I Guan to Tanjin, and Shi Guan to Yushi.
So basically everyone gets a former actress as a personal maid. And how do the girls react? The sources describe it as being like birds out of a cage.
That is the exact phrase. You have to put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
These girls have lived an incredibly regimented life. Up at dawn, voice training, movement training, rehearsals, strict teachers. Now,
The music is gone.
the music has stopped, the instructors are fired, and they are released into the most beautiful garden in the capital. They aren't scrubbing floors right away, are they? No, they're playing. Running around the garden exploring, they feel free. But, and here is where the friction really starts. Freedom in a feudal household is a very dangerous concept. You can't just turn a performer into a maid overnight.
That is the core conflict that's just looming. We're about to see a massive culture clash. Huge. These girls were raised to be artists. They don't know how to do needlework. They don't know how to serve tea properly or clean.
And from what I gather from the text, they are not exactly apologizing for it.
Not at all. The source describes them as arrogant. They're used to being the center of attention, you know? They're picky about their food, picky about their clothing. They have sharp tongues that were trained for dialogue, and some of them act high and mighty, even starting to bully the lower-level servants.
I can see exactly where this is going. You've got the old guard, the nannies, the cleaning women who've been scrubbing floors for decades for very little pay. And suddenly these young, pretty, and kind of useless stars parachute in and start bossing people around.
The resentment is just simmering under the surface. The older women are furious, and normally the theatrical instructors would keep the girls in line, but they're gone, so they're totally unsupervised.
Completely. And the servants have this deep grudge. But because the girls are the new favorites of these young masters and mistresses, especially Bayou, the servants don't dare speak out. Not yet, anyway.
It's a powder keg. You have the masters away, a pregnant manager just trying to keep supplies running, and a group of divas running wild in the servant quarters.
We haven't even touched on what's happening with the men outside.
Oh, right, the external chaos. It's not just the women's quarters, is it?
No. With the masters, Jia Zhang gone, the male servants lack what the text calls a serious head. The cat is definitely away. They form cliques. They're gambling. They're slacking off.
What about Lida, the chief steward? Can't he control them?
He's trying, but his best staff went with the funeral procession. He's left with the B team. New, inexperienced guys who are either totally incompetent or actively corrupt.
So the infrastructure is crumbling on the outside from incompetence, and the social order is eroding on the inside from arrogance.
That's it. Exactly. It is an erosion of order on all fronts.
The scene shifts abruptly, and if you look at the calendar in the text, it's the Qingming Festival.
Kinging, right, or Tomb Sweeping Day. It's a major marker in the lunar calendar.
Right. And usually when we talk about festivals in this novel, I expect, I don't know, chaos, big banquets, poetry contests, maybe a bit of drama. But this is completely different. It's quiet, almost unsettlingly quiet.
It is, and that whole atmosphere is dictated by the holiday itself. I mean, the main duty of King Ming is honoring your ancestors.
Okay.
So the power players of the Jia household, the adult men, Jia Lian, Jia Huan, all the decision makers, they're just not there. They've all gone to the Iron Threshold Temple for the official rites.
Which creates this really fascinating power vacuum. The cats are away,
Exactly. And the mice are left in this huge walled-in garden. But it's not like it's a holiday for them.
No, not at all. There's this weird mix of frantic energy and this deep melancholy just under the surface.
That's the perfect way to put it. On one hand, it's a hive of activity. You've got maids and gardeners digging mud, planting lotus, fixing bamboo fences.
It's spring.
Renewal.
But because the patriarchal authority is gone, the social hierarchy that usually keeps a lid on things is a little loose.
And when things get loose in the Jia household, friction always follows.
Always.
And it all kicks off with a walk. Bayou's been sick, right?
For a while, yeah. He's been cooped up.
So he's finally allowed out. He's leaning on a cane, just shuffling around the garden. And you can tell he's incredibly sensitive right now. He runs into Shangyun and a group of others just sitting on a rock, watching the workers.
And right away, the social dynamics just snap into focus.
This is that moment with the boat, right? It seems so minor.
It is, but it totally triggers him. They see these workers punting a boat, and someone cracks a joke.
Kick that boat out. They're coming to fetch Lin Daiyu.
To a casual reader, that sounds like, I don't know, nonsense. A little tease.
But in the context of this book, that is a loaded grenade.
Because fetching implies she's leaving for good.
It's huge. It's a joke about marriage and separation. Fetching Daiyu means she's being taken away to be married off or sent back to her family in the south.
And everyone laughs, it's just banter. But by you.
Yeah.
He goes beet red.
Can handle it. He can't even handle the implication.
So he's feeling all raw and fragile, and he just wanders off. He has to get out of that conversation.
And that's when he finds it.
This is where we hit the first big analytical anchor of the apricot tree.
He stumbles upon this tree behind a rock.
So paint the picture for us. What's he looking at?
Well, you have to remember the season. It's late spring, the famous apricot blossoms, all those white and pink flowers poets love. They're gone.
They've already fallen.
Yeah. The tree is now covered in these thick green leaves and thousands of these tiny, like, pea-sized apricots.
And Bayou looks at this healthy, productive tree, and instead of thinking, oh, great apricots, he just spirals into depression.
He quotes that line, "Green leaves create shade, and branches are full of fruit."
Which to you or me or a farmer, that sounds like a good thing, a bumper crop.
Success. The tree is doing its job. But to Bayou, it's a tragedy.
Okay, so why does fruit make him sad? Is it just that he likes flowers better?
It's way deeper than just aesthetics. He's connecting botany to biology. Specifically, the biology of the women around him. He's thinking about a character named Xing Xian, who just recently got engaged.
So, apricots equal engagement. Help me connect the dots.
In Bayou's mind, yeah. He sees the flower stage as, like, the peak of existence. It's purity, youth, freedom, beauty.
And the fruit stage.
That's utility. That's reproduction. He looks at those little apricots and thinks, the flowers had to die for the fruit to live. And he maps that directly onto Xingxiang.
Yeah.
He imagines her getting married, having children, and he sees her with hair like silver, face like withered wood.
That is such a brutal fast forward. He jumps from wedding day straight to old age.
Because for him, marriage is the beginning of the end. It's the moment a woman stops being this sort of celestial being in the garden and becomes a functionary in the household.
Like the older servants he can't stand.
Exactly. He believes that once you become useful to society producing heirs, managing a house, you lose your entire essence.
It's a total rejection of adulthood. And then to make it even worse for himself, a bird shows up.
The bird is so crucial. It shows us exactly how Baoyu's mind works. A bird lands on the branch and starts chirping wildly.
Okay, so a normal person thinks, it's a bird, singing.
But Bayou convinces himself the bird is confused. He thinks the bird is looking for the flowers that used to be there, and it's crying because they're gone.
That is peak projection. He's writing a whole tragic backstory for a sparrow.
It's extreme empathy, but it's also a kind of narcissism. He's projecting his own sense of loss onto the whole natural world. He literally wishes he could speak bird language to explain to the bird that the seasons changed.
He's that desperate to validate his feeling that time is cruel.
Mm.
So he's standing there, mourning the flowers, dreading the fruit, just feeling this heavy theoretical sadness. But he can't stay in that headspace for long.
Because the real world literally catches fire.
Or at least some paper does. He spots something behind a rock. It's Uguan, one of the young actresses. And she is breaking a major, major rule.
She is burning spirit money, paper money for the dead. Now, we need to be clear about the stakes here. In the Grandview Garden, this is absolutely forbidden.
It's a fire hazard. It's messy.
But more than that, it's considered superstitious and vulgar to do it right there, in the master's beautiful landscape garden. It's a violation of the whole aesthetic.
And she gets caught. Not by Bayou, he's just watching, but by one of the older servants, a supervisor.
And this woman just goes nuclear.
She sees a chance to exert some power.
Totally. She threatens to drag Uguan to the grandmothers. And this isn't a light threat. This means public humiliation, probably a physical beating.
And getting kicked out of the garden.
Yeah. The woman is shouting, saying Uguan is looking to die.
And this is where Bayou just flips a switch. He stops being the sad poet and becomes the protector.
And how he does it is amazing. He doesn't just pull rank and say, stop.
No, he lies. He invents this incredibly elaborate on-the-spot mythology.
It's a stroke of pure genius. He steps out and tells the old woman, wait, she's not burning it for herself. I told her to do it.
But he doesn't just say, I ordered it. He creates this whole theological justification to scare her off.
Exactly. He says he had a dream the night before. And in the dream, the apricot flower spirit...
Calling back to the tree.
Yes. The spirit visited him and demanded paper money to cure his illness. But, and this is the key part, the condition was that a stranger had to burn it, not someone from his own house.
That little detail makes it sound so real. But he also plays the sick card really, really hard here.
Oh, that's his trump card.
Yeah.
He knows these older servants live in fear of two things, the supernatural and the masters.
Right.
So he tells her, if you report this, you are interfering with the spirits and stopping my recovery. I'll tell the old matriarch you're trying to curse me.
Ooh, that is cold. And brilliant. He completely flips the script on her.
Yep. Suddenly, reporting the crime is way more dangerous than the crime itself.
And the woman is terrified. She goes from, I'm reporting you, to, please, Master Bayou, don't say a word.
She agrees to cover the whole thing up, says she made a mistake, just so she won't be accused of messing with the heir's health.
So the woman scurries off. Uguan is safe. But now Bayou turns to her and asks the obvious question. Who was the money really for?
And this is one of the most touching moments in the chapter. It needs a little unpacking.
So Uguan says it's a secret.
It's a secret. It's for a specific person who passed away, but she won't say the name. She tells Bayou that only she, Fang Guan, and another actress, Rui Guan, know the truth.
And the implication here is this fake phoenix situation. We should probably unpack that for a minute.
Fake phoenix is a term that's often used to describe the gender dynamics within these all-female opera troupes. I mean, you have to remember, these girls grew up acting. Some played women, but some played men. The Xiaosheng roles.
And Uguan often played the young male lead.
Right. But the implication is that she developed a real romantic bond with the actress who played the female lead. Like they were living out the romance they performed on stage.
The text strongly implies
Profound partnership that mimics that husband-wife dynamic, all created within the confines of the garden. So when she burns that money, she is mourning her wife, her partner.
it's this queer space carved out right in the middle of this rigid Confucian family.
Yeah.
And what's so critical here is Baoyu's reaction. A typical master, or even a modern person, might get nosy. They might demand the gossip.
Who was it? Tell me.
But Baoyu doesn't. He backs off immediately. He respects the boundary.
He realizes that the servants have private, emotional lives, complex, tragic, romantic lives that have absolutely nothing to do with him.
He validates her grief without needing to own it.
It just fits his character perfectly. He values the flower, the emotion, the love, the sincere feeling over all the rules of the household.
So, crisis 1 averted. Baoyu heads back to his quarters. He checks on Dayu briefly, noting they're both looking thin and frail.
Keeping that melancholy vibe going.
But when he gets back to his own room, a whole new battlefront has opened up.
We're calling this one the Shampoo War. And it sounds trivial, but it's actually a really gritty look at the economics of the household.
The combatants are Fang Guan, another one of the young actresses, and her godmother.
Now, godmother sounds nice, it sounds nurturing, but that is not what this is.
No, it feels like a systemic problem.
It's a corrupt institution. When the acting troupe was disbanded, the girls were assigned to older women servants. They're called foster mothers, but they're really more like parole officers mixed with shady financial managers.
They control the girls' wages.
Yes. And that's the heart of the conflict. Fang Guan is screaming because this woman takes her monthly allowance, which is a lot of money, but refuses to spend any of it on her. It's just embezzlement.
And what sparked the fight?
Fang Guan just asked for some water to wash her hair, a basic request.
And the godmother washed her own biological daughter's hair first.
And then she gave Fang Guan the leftover dirty water.
Wow. That is just visceral. It's not just being cheap, it's dehumanizing. It says, you are trash compared to my own blood.
Exactly. And Fang Guan, who has a fiery personality, she was not the weeping type, she calls her out on it. She screams that the woman's skimps on East and West, taking the money for herself.
And the godmother gets physical.
She slaps Fang Guan. And the language she uses is so telling. She calls her an ungrateful thing and uses all these slurs associated with actresses calling her talk salty and sour.
It's all about that resentment the older servant class feels.
Absolutely. The actresses are technically lower status, but they're the master's favorites. And the older women just hate that.
So it's total chaos. Fang Guan is crying, the woman is yelling, and this is where the Avengers of the Garden assemble.
Dayu and his head maids, Zhiren and Sheyu, they all step in.
And notice Bayu's stance. He doesn't ask what happened, or let's hear both sides.
No, he quotes the classic line, injustice provokes outcry. He sides 100% with Fang Guan, instantly. He knows how the system works.
He suggests Zhiren just take over Fang Guan's care directly, bypassing the foster mother completely.
And Zhiren, who's so efficient, immediately brings out this care package.
It's a total flex. She brings out a bottle of flour, dew, oil, soap, hair string.
And eggs.
Wait, eggs for washing hair.
Yes. Egg whites were a traditional, high-end hair treatment and cleanser back then. It creates a shine.
So offering the eggs is Zhiren's way of saying, we will treat her with the luxury and dignity you refused her.
Exactly. It shames the godmother. It's like you gave her slop water, we're giving her a spa treatment.
But the real hammer drop comes from Sheyu. She's usually pretty quiet, but here she just steps up and verbally dismantles this woman.
It's a tactical takedown. Sheyu understands the hierarchy better than anyone. She attacks the godmother on jurisdictional grounds.
She basically asks, who has the right to discipline the girls in the master's house?
And the answer is only the masters, or the head maids like herself. She's saying, you don't have the rank to hit her.
Once a girl is assigned to Bayu's house, she belongs to the master.
A foster mother beating her is overstepping. It's a challenge to the master's authority.
And then she uses the same weapon Bayu used earlier, the sick note.
She tells the woman, you are howling like a wolf, while Master Bayu is trying to recover. She threatens to report the woman, not for the theft, but for disturbing the patient's peace.
It's so consistent, isn't it? The only way the younger generation can win is by invoking Baoyu's safety. He's their nuclear deterrent.
And it works. The godmother just crumbles. The text says she was ashamed and had nothing to say. She knows she's been outmaneuvered.
So the battle is won, the old woman is silenced, and we're left with this really striking visual of Feng Guan.
She's been crying, her hair is loose, she's in her casual clothes.
The description is so specific. A crabapple red jacket, loose trousers, her black hair is hanging down like oiled silk. It's this very raw, natural, undone image.
And Bayu loves it. When they start to fix her hair, he actually steps in again.
He tells them, don't pull it too tight.
Yeah, he prefers the natural look. He doesn't want her restricted.
I feel like we're circling right back to the beginning here, from the apricot tree to the hair.
It is the central theme of the entire chapter. Baoyu hates the tightness of the adult world. He hates the rigid buns, the strict rules, the fruit stage of life where you are defined by your function. Like that godling.
He wants Feng Guan to remain loose, natural, and free. just like he wanted the apricot tree to stay in bloom.
The tightness of the hair is a symbol of all the social constraints that turn people into that withered wood he dreads.
He's fighting a losing battle, though, in the long run.
Oh, totally. You can't stop the fruit from growing and you can't stop the girls from growing up. But on this one day, on a day meant for the dead, Bao Yu manages to carve out a victory for the living.
He protects Uguan's secret love, and he liberates Feng Guan from her abuser. It's a fascinating look at his character. He's often seen as so passive or effeminate, but here, in this domestic sphere, he's actually a very effective operator.
He is. He weaponizes his privilege. He knows the older servants can't touch him, so he extends his umbrella of protection over the girls.
He creates a sanctuary where the rules of the outside world money hierarchy don't really apply. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
On the surface, we're just watching a boy, Bao Yu, having a kind of fussy dinner. But if you look closer, and we've pulled a few sources on this, you're actually looking at a manual for social warfare.
social warfare involving soup, which is my favorite kind.
Of course.
But seriously, looking at the outline, it feels we have two missions. First, we have to navigate the etiquette of the inner chambers, this high-stakes world of who is allowed to touch what.
It's all about boundaries.
And second, we have to uncover this secret, almost subversive emotional life of the young actresses living in the garden.
Right. And these two things, they seem unconnected, but they're actually mirror images of each other. One is about the rigid rules of the outside world, and the other is about the fluid rules of the heart.
So set the scene for us. We're in Bayou's quarters. It's evening. Dinner is arriving. And for most people, dinner is a time to relax.
Not here.
In the Grandview Garden, it sounds like a stress test.
It absolutely is. The food boxes arrive from the main kitchen, and immediately the tone is hostile. The maids, specifically Kingwin, who you might remember has a very sharp tongue, and Mushe, they start inspecting the dishes.
And they are not happy.
Not at all. They're not impressed.
I noticed that in the text, they complain the kitchen only sent 4 dishes. It's too salty, or it's too simple. Is this just them being picky, or is something else going on?
It's definitely a power play. You have to understand the layout here. The kitchen is a separate department. The maids in Bayou's room consider themselves, the elite.
Right, they're closer to the master.
Exactly. So complaining about the kitchen's output is a way of reinforcing their status. It's a constant low-level friction between service departments.
So it's office politics, basically. But then they spot the star attraction in the box. A large bowl of ham and fresh bamboo shoot soup, which frankly sounds delicious.
It is a delicacy, but it presents a logistical problem.
It's scalding hot.
It's scalding hot. And this is where we get our first sort of lesson in servitude. Bao Yu takes a sip, burns his tongue, and shouts out.
And Jiren, his chief maid, basically the manager of his entire life, she jumps in, but she doesn't just cool the soup, she turns it into a training seminar.
She does. She targets Feng Guan. Now, we need to remember who Feng Guan is. She's a young girl who was originally an actress in the family's private theater troupe. She's standing there, probably a bit terrified and unsure of what to do with this hot soup. Jiren demonstrates how to blow on it gently to cool it down. But listen to the instruction. Learn how to serve. Don't just stand there in a daze. Blow gently and don't spit in it.
Don't spit in it. That is incredibly specific. It feels like micromanagement.
It is, but it's also protective. Jiren is trying to teach her the inner rules so she doesn't get in trouble later.
I see.
However, this delicate training moment is about to be crashed by someone who definitely does not know the rules.
Enter the foster mother.
This is a crucial character for understanding the class analysis here. She's an older woman, a washerwoman. In the hierarchy of the household, she is considered rough, unskilled labor.
She works outside the inner sanctum.
Way outside. And she's technically Feng Guan's guardian, right?
Yes. She was assigned to look after Fang Guan when the troop broke up. So she sees Fang Guan blowing on the soup and panics.
Panics. She thinks, this girl is too inexperienced, she's clumsy, she's gonna drop that expensive imperial porcelain.
So she rushes in to help. She says, let me blow on it. She's trying to be a good mom, in a way.
She's trying to be helpful, but the reaction from the room is instantaneous and explosive. Kingwin, the maid who guards Bayou's space like a hawk, effectively loses her mind.
She screams at the woman to get out.
It wasn't just a please leave, though. It was aggressive. Kingwin shouts, you let her break the bowl, it's still none of your business to blow on it.
And here's the key insult. Kingwin asks, what gave you the idea you could cross the lattice?
The lattice?
That's the screen divider.
Yes. It's the physical boundary between the semi-public outer room and the private inner quarters. By stepping past it, this washerwoman has violated the sanctity of the young master's space.
But it goes deeper than just location. The text mentions her breath.
Yes, it does.
Kingwin implies the washerwoman is dirty and the maids are clean.
Precisely. This is what I meant about social warfare. It's an obsession with purity. The maids, who, they don't do heavy labor, they view themselves as physically and spiritually cleaner than the women who wash clothes and do the rough work.
Is she actually dirty, or is this symbolic?
It's largely symbolic, though hygiene standards would differ. But it's the stigma of labor. The washerwoman deals with filth so the inner masters don't have to. Therefore, she becomes the filth in their eyes.
Wow.
Her breath is considered a pollutant to the master's food.
That is brutal. And then the woman is chased out, and even the other servants outside mock her. They say she should have looked in a mirror before trying to enter.
Look in a mirror. That is a devastating insult. It's telling her, you are old, you are ugly, you are low class. Know your place. You do not belong in the beautiful world of the garden.
It really highlights how the garden is constructed. It's this paradise, but it's maintained by a ruthless exclusion of anything ugly or real.
Exactly. You cannot cross the lattice if you don't fit the aesthetic.
But once the dirty element is removed, we return to the intimacy of the inner circle.
Huh?
And this leads to a fascinating ritual involving the soup.
Yes, so the threat is gone. Now, Jiren tells Fangwan to taste the soup to make sure it's cool enough. But before she can...
Kingwin jumps in and tastes it herself.
It's a demonstration of hierarchy and intimacy. Kingwin is showing, look, this is how you do it. She takes a sip to prove it's safe. Then Fangwan tastes it. Finally, she passes it to Baoyu.
It's like a royal taster system, but way more intimate. They're sharing fluids, essentially. It bonds them together as the clean people.
And Baoyu finally eats. But notice, after all that drama, he eats a very modest meal. Half a bowl of soup, a few bamboo shoots, some porridge.
And then the ruse. This is where Baoyu shows he's not just a passive kid. He decides he wants to have a private conversation with Fangwan.
But he can't do that with Shirin and everyone else hovering.
So he feigns a headache.
He's a clever boy. He knows that if he says he's sick, the maids will panic and do whatever he wants. He says, I'm not hungry, I have a headache, you all go eat.
He clears the room. He signals Fangwan to stay behind. He creates this little pocket of privacy.
We go from soup etiquette to a profound secret.
Right. This is the second layer we talked about. Baoyu wants to interrogate Fangwan about a previous incident.
Exactly, to catch you up. In a previous section, Baoyu caught another actress, Uguan, burning paper offerings in the garden.
Now, burning paper money is a funeral rite. Doing it unauthorized in the garden is strictly forbidden. It's bad luck, and it's a fire hazard.
A big fire hazard. But Baoyu covered for her. He lied to protect her.
He did, but his curiosity is eating him alive.
Yeah.
He asks Fangwan, who was Uguan mourning? It wasn't a holiday. Who died?
And Fangwan spills the tea.
She reveals the truth. Uguan was mourning a girl named Digwan.
Digwan, another actress.
Okay, so she's mourning a friend. That makes sense.
Well, it's much more than that, and this is where we have to understand the theater troupe dynamics. In Chinese opera, the roles are very rigid. Uguan played the Xiaoshen.
The young male lead.
And Digwan played the Xiaodan, the young female lead.
So on stage, every single day, they were playing husband and wife.
Correct. But Fangwan explains that because they enacted these roles constantly, the lines between reality and performance didn't just blur, they vanished. They fell in love. Fangwan describes them as being crazy with affection. They comforted each other, lived together, and treated each other as true lovers.
That is so touching, and also incredibly subversive for the time. We're talking about two women in a feudal society finding love through the roles they were forced to play.
It is. They are what the text calls fake phoenixes, but to them it was real. Tragically, Digwan died, and Uguan was devastated. That's why she was burning paper. She is mourning her wife.
Wait, this is where the story gets philosophically complicated. Fangwan mentions that Uguan has a new partner now, right? A girl named Ruiguan.
Yes, and this is where the text challenges our modern understanding of relationships. Fangwan, being curious and a bit literal, actually confronted Uguan about this.
She asked her about it.
She did. She asked, aren't you being unfaithful to the dead Digwan by being so affectionate with this new partner, Ruiguan?
It's a fair question, right? If they were married in their hearts, isn't moving on a betrayal?
You would think so. But Oguan's answer is a masterpiece of logic. Baoyu calls it a great reason.
Okay, break it down for us. How does she justify it?
Oguan argues that she is the male lead, so she adopts the logic of a patriarch. she says. Look at a traditional marriage. If a man's wife dies, does he stay single forever?
No, he has to remarry.
He must remarry.
Because the household needs a mistress. Someone has to manage the home.
Exactly. It's not about fickleness, it's about duty. She argues that just as a man must remarry to keep the household functioning, she must continue her role with a new partner. To remain alone would be rigid and would violate the great principle of life continuing.
That is wild. She's using the patriarchal rules of marriage, that a man needs a wife to justify her relationship with another woman.
She is co-opting the system to validate her own life, but, and this is the key, she says the internal loyalty must remain. She says, I have a new partner for the household, but in my heart, the dead are not forgotten.
So outwardly, she moves on and fulfills her role. But inwardly, she holds space for her first love.
It's a brilliant rationalization. It mimics traditional marriage logic but applies it to a same-sex relationship within a theater troupe. It validates their bond as something real, something with duties and obligations, just like a real marriage sanctioned by society.
How does Bayou react to this? I feel like he's the kind of guy who would be confused by this level of mental gymnastics.
On the contrary, he is ecstatic. He listens to this explanation and basically says, I am unworthy. He calls himself a useless, muddy male compared to these brilliant girls.
Muddy male, that's his catchphrase, isn't it?
It is. He believes men are made of mud and women are made of water. This story just confirms his worldview. He thinks these girls, who everyone else dismisses as ignorant actresses, actually understand the nature of love and duty better than the scholars do.
It really is a reversal. The washerwoman we saw earlier was kicked out for being dirty. But these actresses, who were socially barely above prostitutes in that era, are the ones Bayou sees as pure and wise.
That is the core irony of the book. The clean world of etiquette is actually empty. The ignorant world of the actresses is where the deep wisdom lives.
But Bayou doesn't just nod along. He actually pushes back on one specific thing. He tells Fangguan to give Oguan a message. Stop burning paper money.
This surprises a lot of readers. Bayou is a sentimental guy. You'd think he would love the dramatic, romantic gesture of burning offerings.
Right, it's grand, it's visible. Why stop the ritual?
Well, practically, it creates danger. Fire in a wooden garden is bad news, but philosophically, he calls it heresy. He notes it's not a teaching of Confucius. He sees it as idolatry.
So he thinks it's fake.
He thinks it's performative. He argues that burning paper is about the show. It's about transactions sending fake money to the spirit world. He proposes a reformation of ritual.
What does he suggest instead? If you can't burn the paper, how do you honor the dead?
He says the only thing that matters is sincerity, or chengsin.
Chengsin, sincerity of the heart.
Right. He says you don't need expensive paper or grand displays. If you are poor or traveling or just in a strict household, you don't need the props. Even earth or grass is enough to set up an altar.
And the offerings.
Fresh water, fresh flowers, or even just a fresh cup of tea. He says the spirits don't want the fake paper money. They want the sincerity of the living.
That is beautiful. It's so democratic. It strips away the cost and the pomp and focuses entirely on the feeling.
And Bayou reveals he practices this himself. He ignores the standard calendar of gods and sacrifices. He sets up a simple incense burner and offers whatever is at hand, tea, fruit, water, to unknown spirits, based solely on when his heart feels moved.
To unknown spirits? I love that. It's so personal. He's basically saying, I don't care what the calendar says I should worship. I'm worshiping what I feel connected to right now.
Precisely. He's advising Ogwin that her love is validated by her heart, not by how much paper she burns.
Yeah.
It's a move away from performative ritual toward authentic emotional experience.